Newcastle upon Tyne Unitarians. We welcome all who seek the meaning of life and who believe that human spirituality is wider than any one tradition and deeper than any one set of opinions. With a respect for our Christian origins, we seek to explore all truths from all sources. Our fellowship gives us strength and encouragement in daily living. You are welcome here. We are welcome here. Let us light our chalice. This little flame we light, lightening our darkness, growing our love, may it live right in our hearts. Good morning, if you're joining us on the internet. How many?
We have one person joining.
Welcome. You're very welcome this morning. Let's start with a reading. Help us to love the world aright. Help us to add to its beauty, not just to its static loveliness, but to its onward going life and grace. Help us to love our neighbour aright, and if that is what is needed, to love ourselves aright. Make us, we pray, those who, imperfect beings in an imperfect world, still love that which is perfect and strive to live accordingly. Yes, we still, in Unitarians, seek that is what is perfect in an imperfect world and strive to live accordingly. We hope this morning's service will give us a little nudge along the road. I invite you to dance, to be with us and to, in this dance of life. Shall I have a story? Do you like stories?
Love them.
This one's called Two Happenings in the Lives of Beryl and Bill.
This is from a book called Folk Tales of Rock and Stone. Beryl and Bill were a lovely couple, and indeed they loved each other very much. They took care of their health and had already lived to a ripe old age. Each day they would drive up to the heathland that overlooked their village and take a walk there. It was a morning in autumn. They had parked the car in the heathland car park and were setting out on their constitutional. They loved nature and admired the plants and insects as they walked. The mornings were now getting a little cooler, and the gorse and heather had flowered, and the grass now yellowed. For the first time this year, they noticed the dew that glistened on the strands of cobwebs stretched out on the spikes of gorse. As they walked downhill to the bridge over the stream, their attention was drawn to a loud buzzing. A bee out for an early forage had become trapped in a cobweb. Bill looked around for a stick and quickly freed the bee. "Good deed for the day," he said to Beryl as the bee flew away. But then the bee was back, buzzing around the brim of Bill's hat. Bill could have sworn that a buzzy voice said, "I'll return the favour." Was it his imagination? A few days later, Beryl and Bill were just entering the usual car park in their little old car when the engine spluttered and died. Bill drew a breath. I knew I should have filled up before we came. I'll just check the tank. He walked round to the petrol tank. and took off the filter cap. He was just moving to peer in when a bee buzzed past his ear straight into the tank. Another bee followed, then 5, then 10 more, and then a swarm. There was a loud buzzing noise from the tank. Then 1 bee flew out, and then another, then 5, then 10, and then the rest of the swarm. Bill was just standing back when a bee buzzed around his ear. "Start the car," it said. At least he could have sworn it said that. Getting into the car again, Bill announced in his most manly voice, "I'll just have another try." He turned the key, and the engine sprang into life. He was about to close the car door when there was that bee at his ear again, buzzing words. That was the best BP. I said that Beryl and Bill were an extremely loving couple, but there was one silly little thing that always bothered Bill. On the top of the wardrobe, there was an old chocolate box tied up with red ribbon. It had been there since they'd moved in just after their wedding. Bill often asked Beryl what was in the box. "My stuff, just leave it, dear. One day," was what she would always say, and Bill did leave it. Time had passed since the bee incident, and now Beryl and Bill no longer went for a morning walk because Beryl was ill, and if the truth be known, she had not got much longer. Sitting by her bedside one day, Bill mentioned the box. "Yes, get it down, dear," she said. Bill reached for the box. "Undo it and open it," she said. Bill took off the lid. Inside the box, at the top, was something wrapped up in tissue paper. He undid it. It seemed to be a stone entirely covered with multicoloured crochet. "What's this?" he asked. "Now, dear, I have to explain," she said weakly. "The day before we got married, my old mum said to me that whenever we had an argument, the best thing was to get a clean stone and quietly crochet over it to make a paperweight. And that is what I did." Bill looked at the stone paperweight. It was nicely made, multicoloured and neatly stitched. But there was only one argument, he reflected on their long marriage. One argument in all that time. He had been so lucky. He was about to put the lid back on the box when he noticed a brown envelope at the bottom. Beryl had drifted off to sleep now. He pulled out the envelope and looked inside. The envelope was stuffed with £20 notes, absolutely stuffed. "Beryl, what is this?" He tapped her shoulder. "Oh," she said, "there was never enough room for all the paperweights that I made, so I sold them at the WI store. Those are the proceeds."
Thank you, Janice. I'm sure we can take the meaning from both those short readings from Life of Beryl and Bill. Or maybe it's you and I. Who knows? So, let's do the Lord's Prayer together. And it's on the sheet in front of you. We might say it together. Thank you. Perhaps you'd like to join with me. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, Source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God, in whom is heaven,
The hallowing of your name echoes through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and home on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. When trials too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. So let it be.
Thank you. Hope you like that version. And that's taken from the New Zealand prayer book, Anglican prayer book. Let's take a little time out for reflection and prayer, shall we? Let's pause in a moment or two silence. And in the quiet and the stillness, may we remember those who are sick, perhaps ones we know in the congregation here, perhaps ones we know in our family and friends. For those who are struggling with life's worries, for those who are undergoing stress from abuse and injustice, for those in war zones, we also think about the stress that's on our natural, beautiful earth. Spirit of life, may we understand, may we find that still centre in our lives, and may we use that still centre to make a difference, bring something beautiful, whether it be small or great, into our lives and into the lives of others. It's a simple aim, spirit of life, but we do need encouragement, and we do need your strength. However we see you, whatever name we put to you, we need strength beyond ourselves and beyond our capabilities. We want to make a difference. Let's do something beautiful today and in the days ahead. So let it be. Amen. This morning, when I was having breakfast in the cafe that we stayed in, a man walked in. He had on his t-shirt. What did he have on his t-shirt?
Where is my utopia?
Where is my utopia? It said on the back of his t-shirt. Where is my utopia? What a question. I didn't have the opportunity to ask him. Probably would. He wanted a quiet breakfast, so I didn't bother interrupting his breakfast. I thought, where is his utopia? Then I thought to myself, where's my utopia? Where is our utopia? as Unitarians, where is our utopia? Do we have a picture of some paradise? Do we have a picture of something greater, better than what we have now? Have you got that in our mind? Are we holding it as sacred? What would you say to those questions? We can live in the now and the present, which we should. But all of our great faith traditions was based on some idea of a paradise, something better. If you think about it, it's true. As humans, we don't know what the animals think, but as humans, we do seek something, something in us that says a better world is possible, reachable, attainable. You know, in fact, you might say every social progress and many other progresses we make are based on the assumption that we can do better. That indeed there is something better to be had, and that what we have now can be improved. Now, that sounds like a political rhetoric, doesn't it? Well, genuinely, there's something inside us that says, wait a minute, we can do better. So then, what about us Unitarians? Do we still have a vision for a better world? Do we still have a vision that is clear, or is it misty, or is it ruined perhaps by the everyday worries and concerns and illnesses and all the other things that we have to face on a day-to-day basis? We still have that freshness of thought that there is something better, something. And what is it that makes us think that coming to a Unitarian service on a Sunday morning, whether by internet or by being here present, makes a difference? And what difference does it make? Questions, aren't there? Lots of questions about that. What is our utopia? Where is it? What does it mean? Do we have a view of a perfect world? Now, when the Christian religion was more dominant, and maybe even within our own Unitarian faith, we would have talked about the kingdom of God. Now we might talk about the kindness of God, the kingdom of God. Maybe we don't have God in it at all. But in the past, we would have had a view of what that was. Would it be like to live in a kingdom? The word itself, of course, is loaded, isn't it? It's structurally loaded. In a world that is peaceful, that is fair, that is just, where sickness isn't a dominant thing, where everybody has the needs of what they need for each day, and we live in communities that are strengthening, holding, loving. Now, we've got, in our first reading, it said something. I'll just go back and read it again, because I think it's important. It said this in our first reading morning. It talked about help us to love the world aright, help us to add to its beauty, not just to its static loveliness, but to its onward going life and grace. And then it says something very interesting in the last sentence. Make us, we pray, those who, imperfect beings in an imperfect world, still love that which is perfect and still strive accordingly. So somewhere inside us, we have a standard of what we would say, that's the perfect life. That's the ideal in there. And last week, I had the privilege of going on a course with Unitarians. And it was a course for intermediate worship leading. And one of the things that we put up on the in the course on a flip chart. You can't see this obviously, but it was 15, about 10 or 15 minutes, and the 18 people in the room were asked the question, what do we love about our Unitarian faith? And what would you answer? And these are some of the things that came up. Willing to think about challenging issues, permission to be uncertain, freedom from forced ideas, untethered, commitment to activism, don't need to agree, commitment to equality, different faith traditions, permission to ask questions, positive view of humanity, faith allows me to stay and remain, safety, queer friendly, non-judgmental, room for growth, allows for possibility, walks its talk, live with difference, lay participation, personal responsibility for growth, allows God to change, make God bigger. Is that what we're talking about in the paradise? Is that what we're talking about? Is it there in that piece of paper on that flip chart? I think a lot of it is. But maybe we've been doing this for a long time. And maybe that freshness that brought us here in the first place has somehow become, not soured exactly, but a little dull. So when we talk about in our theme, let's do something beautiful now, one of the things that we can do is to assess what we are and who we think we are. Who do we think we are? And why then is it so special to come to worship on Sunday morning? When the majority of the world now is facing a different direction on Sunday morning. The idea of coming to any place, any church, sitting in a pew or not, is not something that is in most people's expectation when they get out of bed on Sunday. So we are slightly unique, are we not? We're in a minority, are we not? But does that mean then we've got nothing to look forward to? 2006, our General Assembly made a passed a resolution that said we need to grow numerically. We didn't, and we haven't, because numbers don't matter, really. What matters is in our hearts. And how we attract people, and this is my view, maybe you differ, and you can talk to me afterwards over coffee or whatever. Tell me that I'm wrong. What matters is whether we hold something beautiful in our heart and that we can share that beauty with other people. Would you agree that if we do that, if we could somehow translate what we talk about and what we love about Unitarians without preaching, without trying to convert, but to say, wait a minute, there is something beautiful here. There is something beautiful here. And whether we're in a small group as we are this morning, or whether we're in a large assembly, not numbers that matter. It's what really is in here. Do we have something beautiful? And if we don't, all's not lost, because why did we come here in the first place? Did we have a love for what we are doing this morning at some stage? Yeah? Did something bring us through the door in the first place? Did something say, oh, I think I'll go there, do that? And some of us might have been bred into it, as it were, been doing it all our lives. But no, not for the majority of us. It wasn't part of our tradition. We made the choice somewhere along the line. And that first view of paradise, that first view of something different, and the possibilities that coming to worship on a Sunday morning offers, not just to us, but to this world. Is that too big a statement to make? That we might be holding something very, very precious in our hands and in our hearts. Now, Unitarians are not evangelists, are they? Not me. Think about it. The word's been stolen, hasn't it? What does evangelism mean? It means sharing good news. It doesn't mean you have to believe this or else. It means the sharing of good news. So are we? Can we be evangelists, sharing good news? Not in a preachy way. And we have to find new words and new ways of doing these things in order to convey to a world that is very far poles away, you might say, but it isn't. Quakers say there is that of God in every person. I agree with that. That's one thing that took me into Quakers 20 odd years ago. Something that said there is that of God in you and I and everybody. Doesn't matter what a person's doing or what their upbringing has led them to do, to appear to be nothing godly about them. There is the seed of something within every one of us, and that seed can be cultivated. If you have a garden, have you ever seen that some plants in the garden spread naturally? I think about Aquilegias. You have got Aquilegias in your garden? Water like the water flowers. They come up. Or this year, foxgloves are everywhere. Everywhere. And we haven't planted them. The seeds have just naturally grown in and found the right soil and grown up and developed. Is there a lesson in nature for us there as Unitarians? I think there is. I think there's a definite lesson there. In Search of Paradise. Stephen Lingwood, that's it, yeah, wrote a book about paradise. And it's a very interesting book, I'm reading it at the moment. And he talks about how Unitarians have always had a view of what paradise might be and could be. But it's changed over the years as trends have changed and people have become more sceptical and more cautious about being led into something that's not them. Made to believe something that they don't want to believe, or to act in a particular way that's not for them. And we don't do that in Unitarians. We've already said that in our introduction. We expect very little. Does that mean to be a Unitarian you don't have to believe anything? I think not. I think to the contrary, it means we believe everything. Everything is what we believe. It's a possibility open, not a possibility closed and shut. So to do something beautiful today, it might be just to give somebody a nod. The introductory song that we were playing at the beginning said, whatever it is. And when we come to the end of our service, we're going to play that song again. I want you to listen to the words. It talks about the future is a seed in our hands. Something to think about. Something to reflect on. Something beautiful for this day. The poem. The Nature of Love from Rabindranath Tagore. The night is black, and the forest has no end. A million people thread in a million ways. We have trysts we keep in the darkness. But where or with whom of that are we aware? Sorry, my voice is going a bit wonky. Bear with me a moment. Well, we have this faith that a lifetime's bliss will appear any minute with a smile upon its lips. Scents, touches, sounds, snatches of songs, brushes, passes, give us delightful shocks. Then peradventure, there's a flash of lightning. Whoever I see that in that instant, I fall in love with. I call that person and cry, this life is blessed. For your sake, such miles have I traversed. All those others who came close and moved off in the darkness, I don't know whether they exist or not. Beautiful poem, I think, takes a bit of analysis. There's a flash of lightning, and whoever I see that instant, I fall in love with. That's quite a thing, isn't it? I dream of a church joins in with God's laughing, joins in with God's weeping, joins in with God's dancing, joins in with God's loving. A church that goes on to do the things that we call paradise. Now, when people say, where have you been on Sunday? Well, a bit reluctant to say I've been to Unitarians, a bit reluctant to say I've been to a meeting, any sort of religious meeting today. Not really a topic of conversation, is it? Difficult for most people, difficult to grasp. And I think it's really down to what we have in our hearts, the beauty that we have in our hearts. Now, I'm not suggesting any of this is easy. I'm not giving you pat answers to big questions. I'm not doing that. I'm just suggesting that with a slight adjustment, we wouldn't need to worry about growth, because growth will come naturally. If what I experienced last weekend at that Unitarian gathering in Great Tupelo is anything to go by, and if this was what was in front of us, what we love about Unitarians was in front of me all the time, I would feel, actually, there is some hope. There is a purpose. Now, Stephen Lingwood talks about mission, which is another word we avoid right away, doesn't it? You see how words have been stolen from us? They've been stolen from the more orthodox right-wing Christianity has stolen words away from us so that we don't use them anymore. We don't want to use them anymore in case we give the wrong impression. Mission, oh, that sounds terrible, isn't it? But we could have a mission to make the world more beautiful, can we not? If that was our mission, to make this world more beautiful today, in some small way, in some large way, would that be wrong? No, of course it wouldn't. It would feel more like a way forward for us to think about, so that we could dream of a church that is like that. Because even the word church is a problematic word for a lot of people, isn't it? They think, oh, no, I remember. I'm not going back to that. I remember when people told me what to do and how to live and what my partner should be. No, none of that. None of the judgment, just the love. Just the beauty. Just the things which are really so worthwhile. And when we look around about us, particularly at this time of year, there's what was the tree that we passed this morning walking down here?
On the castor oil.
Castor oil tree. Yeah, there's a big castor oil tree on the Osborne Road there. With huge, great leaves this size. And it's the most beautiful, glowing, shining leaves. And you may have seen something similar. Maybe it wasn't a castor oil plant, but it was something similar that struck you. And there you said to yourself, there is beauty in this world. It's not all ugliness. It's not all about what terrible things are happening in the world, because we know all about that. But what the press and the media don't concentrate on often is the beauty. So we have a voice to step into that void, and to say, yes, there is something beautiful. And maybe going to a Unitarian church service on a Sunday morning, you might find it for yourself. You might find something that's, come and try it, see what you think. It might not be for you, that's fine. It might not be what you want, that's fine. But you might have got it, you might just come away with a taste in your mouth of something rich and beautiful. You know, when you have a taste of something in a meal that's beautiful, you start thinking, oh, you had it in a restaurant, you think, oh, I'll go along and I'll try and recreate that in my kitchen at home. You don't usually very well succeed, because there's something that's beautiful. Something that when you were a child, the first time you tasted something like that, you, oh, yes, more of that. And that's what we want people to say, yes, please, we'll have more of this that we have shared this morning. A benediction. This is from John O'Donoghue. May you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul. May you realize you are never alone, that your soul, in its brightness and belonging, connects you intimately with the rhythm of the universe. May you have respect for your individuality and difference. May you realize that the shape of your soul is unique, that you have a special destiny here, that behind the facade of your life, there is something beautiful and eternal happening. Behind the facade of our lives and the struggle of our lives, there's something beautiful and eternal happening. Findorn Unitarian Network. Have any of you been to Findorn?
Yes, I have.
Yes, we have. Now, Findorn, when you said Findorn, I thought to myself from beauty and growing things. And growing things in sand, I thought of the amazing vegetables that they grew over there were so incredible. If you don't know the story of Findorn, look it up on the internet. What the faith community can do and achieve with just some very simple ideas. And one of the little cards that you get at Findorn, it says, believe in the miracle. Expect a miracle, I said. Expect a miracle. Expect a miracle. It's lovely. I've still got it. I've still got it on my kitchen, on the ledge of the kitchen. Look at it every time it's there. Expect a miracle, and they did expect a miracle, and that miracle happened. Yes, it wasn't without problems. It isn't without problems now. I'm not suggesting any community will have difficulties from time to time, because we're human, imperfect, but we can have hope. So, we come to the end of our service. I hope you can take away something that you feel is yours. Something you can put in your pocket and say, oh yes, and look at it, perhaps again, and turn it round and see what it is that's beautiful. So as we send out our chalice light, we're aware of beauty that we've talked about and shared this morning. we're aware of what the light has given us while it's been on. And now we send it out and we share it. Let there be good news, and let us be the bearers of good news. Go well, friends. Go in peace.